Let's do it.
Hello, thank you everyone for joining us with Katja. And she talks about the subconscious and sinking into our body and having an experience through the human experience and not just the mind and problem solving. And my guess is anxiety and overwhelming worry. So I love this topic. I think it is amazingly complex. Katya, how did you get started with this? What is your story?
Hmm. First of all, thank you, Lily, for this warm welcome. And I'm so happy to be here to have this conversation with you and the audience. And oh my gosh, you are so right. There is too many people like me out there who live in their head only and have yet to learn to make this shift from the mental figuring out into that tracking mode in the body and really feel what's going on there and not be afraid of feeling all the feelings that come up. And I can say from my own healing journey that um, I could understand cognitively what fear, sadness, anger were, but I was absolutely unable to get into that felt sense of those emotions. And having worked with two mentors that are absolutely wonderful, that's the thing that I am most grateful for because they facilitated for me this accessing of my emotions in this somatic, visceral realm. And that's now what I am most passionate about facilitating for others. And I can say it's really mostly a matter of sticking with it and trying again and again because when I did this tracking for the first time, there wasn't really anything. There was just a sense of numbness. But when I stayed with it, I was eventually able to have this sense of a first emotion in my body. And after I have felt it somatically once, I could access that same emotion every time I wanted to. And that one emotion became many emotions, became all emotions, and staying with it even longer led to me being able to feel other people's emotions in my body even before they themselves could feel it in theirs.
Yes, I love that. And as you're talking, it's reminding me, a therapist once said to me, if you could think your way to healing, you would have done it by now. Healing is not
Yeah.
intellectual, healing is feeling. And
Mhm.
maybe start going because they said you can think anything you want. You're brilliant, you can think. We all think, but there was a huge disconnect. So I feel like that's a lot of it. It's like having that
Yeah.
connection, not disregarding one or the other, but just being connected to yourself and your feels. And that for a lot of people, like you said, starts with numbness. And then they stop. They're like, well, it's numb. There's nothing there. It's like, oh, there's so
Mhm.
much there. Just push a little bit harder. Just go a little
Yeah.
bit further. I swear to God, there's something behind the numb that you just
Mhm.
avoided for a hot minute.
Yeah, yeah, that really nails it. And um, like so many people, I have thought, oh, I'm not getting ahead with what I want, so I need to take more courses. I need to read more books, but it's not really adding more information into the head. It's really about pulling out the stress and the trauma out of the body. And once I committed to that, that's when the magic happened. It's not more courses, more books, adding more to the mind. It's really the subtraction, the taking out of um, what is in your body, in your nervous system as stress. And really, there's no way around doing that.
Yeah. And I think you bring up a good point of the roadblocks that keep us from feeling. And a huge one is, well, I just need one more course. I just need one more book. I just need
Mhm.
one more
Oh,
intellectual
I
nugget.
was so there.
And I see so many people doing that where they're
Mhm,
like, well, I've taken 15 courses. I read a book a month. And I'm like, that is awesome. What are you doing? It's almost like they're they're postponing action because they want to
mhm,
learn
mhm,
more. And healing, I hate to break it to everyone, it's a verb, it's a doing. Healing is an action where it's not a thought process. And that's something that people are like, yeah, but if I just read one more book, I'll have the intellectual knowledge to, like, not how it works. I can vouch for that. That is not how it works. I spent years trying to
yeah.
think my way out of trauma and healing and all that. And no, you have to feel it. And I think something that a lot of people need to hear and be allowed to feel, it's going to be messy. It is
Mhm,
not like a movie where you ugly cry for 30 seconds and then all of a sudden you have this epiphany and everything is amazing. It'll be messy, and that's it's meant to be. It's not even that it's okay. It's meant to be messy. It's not
mhm.
meant to be clean cut and cerebral. It's a Jackson Pollock. Let's be honest. Healing is a Jackson Pollock. At best, it's a Picasso. It is certainly not
Yeah.
anything in the realist territory. So just being aware of that and giving yourself grace, because I don't know about you,
Mhm,
but my healing process has never been, and I dare say will never be, pretty. It is
mhm,
the ugliest, rawest, some of the most painful things that I have done is through healing. And I wouldn't change it for anything. Because if it was pretty, I
absolutely.
don't think I would have gotten as much out of it. If it was Instagrammable, I think it would have been a waste of my time. How many people do
Yeah.
you see on Instagram and you're like, they're healing? I'm like, they're acting. They're the healing happened when the camera was off, and then they put on some makeup and was like, I just had the most incredible healing process and I had all my feels. And it's like, you're not
Yeah.
on the floor covered in snot. The rest of us were on the floor covered in snot. Okay.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
where we were for our healing. I don't know about you, but I was a very floor healer. I was not a
Yeah.
like, let's get up and walk around in public. I was like, let's curl into a ball and scream. I found that yelling is a huge part of it, which sounds weird, but it's a release. It's like it's all this pent up emotion. It's like, ah, and then you cry and then you feel. So I don't know about you, but what are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I so agree with that. It is really about feeling all the feels. And yes, it is messy. And um, that's what being human is really all about. Being human is a messy thing.
Mhm.
And just say yes to it. That's
Yeah,
what you signed up for.
be okay with it. Like, and as I said, people need to the permission from someone outside themselves, because so rarely do we have that empowerment within ourselves at the beginning of our healing process to be like, oh yeah, this is going to be messy and that's okay, because our only frame of reference is social media and Hollywood, which is not even remotely realistic. So it's giving them, you don't need my permission, but if you do, you have it. Like, as long as you're not
Mhm.
hurting yourself or anyone else, like, that's my bar. don't
Yeah.
don't cause yourself harm, don't harm anybody else. But like, I am looking around right now, and part of my healing process, I have bowls of fruit around me right now because that's what I'm eating all day, just tons of big bowls of fruit. um
Mm.
but beyond, like, that would be the Instagrammable, look at me, I'm taking care of myself, eat healthy, yay. Looking around, I'm like, oh, everything is messy and dirty right now because
Mm.
my healing process got messy and dirty, and cleaning my house did not even remotely factor into what I needed to do to feel my feels. And
Yeah.
it's like the Instagrammable thing is so close to me, but then if I look out just a little bit more, it's like that's the real. And I'm looking, and do you feel like as you healed, as you were really in your body, things that you used to feel shame about, you don't anymore? Because
For
I would have
sure.
looked at this and been mortified. No one's going to see it, just me. But I would have been mortified that there's stuff laying out and the Costco stuff is still all piled up. And but now I'm like, that's healing. It's exactly where it needs to be. I have no shame. Like, I also don't want guests over, but I don't feel shame anymore. And I think that's a big part of healing, is that the shame, the guilt, the obligation, it doesn't go away. It's not like a switch, but it fades, right? Like the sting of it, it's in your face. Shame on you for showing emotion and it not be pretty. That fades so much when you're actually on this process, right? I mean, did you get a lot of shame? Well, how did you deal with shame on your process?
Yeah, there's so many things that you said that so resonate for me also. And the first one was this yes, accept yourself in your human messiness. And then the second thing that I wanted to reiterate is this permission to sound out the pain that comes up. And oftentimes when there is this intense emotion, this intense pain, words might not be there to express it, but the sound for sure is. And then just to allow yourself to express the sounds that want to come out without judgment. And you were naming the emotion of shame and guilt, and have that's definitely something I have felt big time. And then what I was just mentioning, the self-judgment that goes along with feeling the feelings that come up, that's definitely very intense for people like me as well. And what I would add on to that is to really be
Mm-hmm.
with anything that comes to the surface in that place of non-judgment, and just to accept it as it bubbles up, and to really stay with what's coming to the surface until it is felt completely, because there is no other way than just going through it. You need
Yeah,
to stay with the emotion fully until you break through to the other side of it.
commit in the present moment. Don't push
Mhm.
anything away, just commit to the present moment. And I love how you say like words may not come up. It may just be sounds. And I would say like
And
words are
that's
so
okay.
cerebral and articulate and mental
Mhm.
that I would even prefer to make, because when I think of an emotion, I never think of words. Like happiness, what do you think of? Laughter isn't a word. It's a sound, it's a noise. It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, and it's the same with sadness. I don't think of sadness as words. It's like it's wailing, it's sobbing, it's
Mhm.
blowing your
Yeah.
nose. It's
And the laughter was actually one of those really pleasant side effects that I started to notice once I committed to feeling the fears. I had tons of more belly laughs that weren't really available to me before doing the healing work. But yeah, that just opens up and it feels so good.
yes. Oh, that you bring up an amazing point. It's not just the grief or sadness or anger or frustration. Like you will feel giddy. You will feel incandescent joy. You will feel excitement. like electric excitement over the things that you're
Mhm.
passionate about. It's, and I feel like that's what prevents a lot of people from feeling their feels is they're like, well, they're all messy and like bad and painful. And it's like, oh no, once you feel your feels completely, you will also feel joy on a level that you just didn't know was so rich and fulfilling. And let me tell you what, you can live off that for a few days. Like it is lifeblood. And so yeah,
Mhm.
like you're right. You laugh
Yeah,
deeper.
it's the two sides of the same
Yes.
coin, really, right?
Mhm. It is. It's so fabulous. I love it so much. So are there any final comments or pearls of wisdom do you have for our listeners with dealing with the subconscious and moving through emotion and all the really relevant things that we talked about today? Like your topic, what you talk about, what you help people with is so in our faces right now with where society is. Like what else do you have to share about it before we sign off?
Yeah. I have really become this huge advocate for feeling, and I would encourage everyone to take whatever is happening in your life currently as an opportunity to feel, and don't judge the feeling, because even the so-called negative emotions, they are perfect to catalyze this sense of aliveness within, this joyful buzz in every cell of your body. And there's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
And this is really what it's all about, to get this sense of aliveness turned on again, because when we are not committing to feeling the feels, then we might be just walking around like zombies and living half lives, but not really
Yeah.
living those full, blissful lives that we are meant to enjoy.
Yes, I love that. So as you're talking, I want to ask you, are you taking clients? Are you helping people currently move through their emotions on this journey? Is that something that you're doing?
I work as a joie de vivre energy healer with people, and I have noticed that not everybody is familiar with this term. It's just the French word for joy of life. And I use that word because for the longest time it felt to me, well, somehow this joy button is turned off, and I would like to turn it on again. And then I had many people that I worked with express the same thing. Somehow the joy is gone, and I would like to get it back. And
Yeah,
this is really the work,
I
to
love it.
turn that joy button, that aliveness button on again.
I love it. And if people wanted to contact you to do this work with you and to hire you, how can they do that?
I make sure to provide all the links for you, and you can put them into the show notes. But for now, I would say it's very easy to message me on Facebook, for example, or to email me. And it's just my name, katja.lany@gmail.com.
I love it. That is wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us on this just amazing talk. And for all the listeners, remember to subscribe and follow if you want to see more of this. Comment if you have questions. We are here to help. We want to make sure that you're feeling all your feels so that you can have all the happiness. And like this if you found anything useful or interesting, and go forth and be the hero of your own story. And Katya, thank you so much for just sharing the awesomeness that is you in the
Mm.
journey of emotion. So thank you so much for joining me.
Mhm.